But yeah, so like Winter keeps coming over and bringing caviar, and I don't want to tell her. Like, I know where that's from, right? We
You'd think she'd at least recognize the smell.
Well, I no, she knows where it's from,
Oh, okay.
but she's just got like piles and piles of that laying around for obvious reasons. And I don't want to.
Yeah. You don't want to call her on it, but it's kind of.
Yeah, it's like you know what she's been up to, but oh, we're live.
Oh, okay.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to Tapcaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast. I am your host for the week, Mr. Corey of Corey's Datapad Loses, and my co-host, as always, is the effervescent EckhartsLadder. Justin, how are you doing?
Good, good. Well, we're going to have a problem if you keep using these $20 words around me. I'm just going to say that right now.
I got a big donation from the Scrabble Foundation recently.
If you could make effervescent in Scrabble, that would be fairly impressive because you'd need to build it into a couple other words, I think.
Look, all I can tell you is that the price was definitely right when they emailed me. So this podcast is now brought to you.
I was going to say, let's talk about the book where Luke is going to a computer, but
yeah, and the weird part was that he then finds out there's a woman living in it.
It's like, oh, I was doing this just for fun.
Yeah, we're getting the return of Incel Luke from Truce of Bakura, so
yeah,
get those reviews ready, everyone.
Speaking of, did you check? I think we got a couple more podcast reviews.
We did, in fact, get more reviews on Apple Podcasts. So remember, if you enjoy the podcast or hate the podcast, leave a review on whatever platform allows you to do that, because we are on several platforms. And this is actually, despite the lack of release of any major Star Wars content this month, though we are coming up with like Squadrons and Mandalorian next month, this month is one of our most listened to months ever, and might actually be the most listened to, including the month that we started off doing, like the Thrawn trilogy and Rise of Skywalker came out. So thank you all so much for putting up with us.
I gotta say, my favorite. Did we talk about my favorite review last episode? I can't remember.
The original one? Unless there's something...
Yeah, well, there was another review that I was really a fan of. It was the only Swarm War podcast out there by Told412. He says, come for the knowledge and always humorous breakdown of EU books. Stay for the sidebars on lawyer life and Canadian miscellanea.
Yeah.
What a good description right there.
Yeah, that is pretty darn good, bud.
Fucking wrecked it.
Oh, just went out for a rip on that podcast review and just fucking nailed her there, bud.
I think
on.
If we should just change our official podcast description to that. Like, actually, that's better than anything I've ever written about Tapcaf Transmissions.
That's true. I mean, it's better than anything we've ever said on Tapcaf Transmissions. But today's
maybe
topic,
we'll change that today though, because we do have a doozy.
A doozy of I couldn't think of anything that rhymed or alliterated with it, so. This is my official resignation from Tapcaf Transmissions. This will be my last episode. After this, Alex from Star Wars Explained will be taking over my slot. You'll notice very little difference.
American instead of Canadian. That's basically it. I do like how your title of the stream that we're recording this on is one of the most controversial books. Obviously, Star Wars is implied, but I just like to imagine...
No, I had thought about that when I was putting it in, and I was like, no, I'm signing off on what I'm putting in here.
I just like imagine going to like first year English class in university. Like, today we were going to talk about controversial literature, then the most controversial book of all time. And people are like, what is it, Lolita or something else? No, Children of the Jedi.
Well, it's still beaten out by, like, I think the Crystal Star and the New Rebellion have more of a controversial nature among Legends books for fans. So,
Crystal Star, definitely. I just think, I think this is more controversial than New Republic or the New Rebellion, just because
no one knows about the New Rebellion.
Yeah, people just forget about that one. How
true.
did you feel going back to Bantam after? It's been a while since we've done a Bantam book. What was the last one? I guess the last Rogue Squadron book we did?
Yeah, it would have been Ice Heart's Revenge, I think. But I don't know. I was kind of interested. Like, I was not looking forward to this trilogy. I actually hadn't read Children of the Jedi
Mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't, I was going off of everything that I'd heard about it and what I knew about, because I know about the plot obviously from
Mm-hmm.
other stuff like source books or Wikipedia and stuff. So nothing was a surprise to me, but
Mm-hmm.
I was not excited. But honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Really? Because I thought it was a goddamn slog to get through.
I I don't disagree necessarily because there's a lot of stuff that takes several pages to get through. Like someone can make a one sentence statement and the whole
Mhm.
paragraph will be just getting to and then breaking down that one sentence statement.
Mhm.
Uh, and there was a part, because there were some of those parts that I started to just skim a little bit, where I wasn't sure if I knew what was happening when they're first on the Eye
Yes.
of Palpatine and you're
Yes.
hearing about like the Gamorreans and stuff. It's like, this sounds like there's been a ship that's been taken over by Gamorreans, but they're talking about Imperials. So did I miss something? It's like,
I
no,
like
it is
that though.
just it is
Yeah.
just that. But I wasn't sure if it was because I wasn't paying attention or what. But then it was like later on, like, no, I
Mhm.
understand perfectly what's going on here. Never
Mhm.
mind.
I will say there are aspects of this book that I actually really like. I
Mhm.
like the beginning where there's almost like where they talk about the children in the well and stuff. Like that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Like the beginning of this book has like a kind of dreadful opening.
Hmm.
Um, but to me, like the part and the stuff with Han and Leia is okay on Belsavis, but like for me, most of the stuff with Luke on the Eye of Palpatine is like nearly unreadable because it's
Yeah.
so boring. It's like the whole book is him just trying to get through the ship's security systems. He gets knocked out. We talked about this a lot in Truce of Bakura, where Luke gets knocked out a lot in that one. He gets knocked out at least 10 times in this book.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah. He's
like
not
the whole
conscious very much.
no, he's not at all. And the whole thing is like the whole on the Eye of Palpatine, which I think it's really cool, like a super ship completely abandoned with like going across the galaxy to pick up like these hidden Imperial forces.
Yeah.
That's cool. But then when you actually get on the ship and it's just like, oh my god, there's a door he's got to get through. Blah 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 blah. Let's get to banging the ghost already.
Like, I do think that there are parts of it that work as like a kind of a mystery.
Hmm.
With like, who are the children of the Jedi?
Yes.
What is Han's old buddy?
Hmm.
Was that Drub McCum or was that
Drub
someone else?
McCum, yeah. No,
Because
it's Drub McCum.
I finished the book like a week
Drub
ago,
McCum.
but
Drub.
I'll let you just go on with this. Do it
Sorry.
like six more. No, I understand as your friend that you need to get this out of your system.
Drub McCum. Drub McCum. Drub McCum.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And I think the theme is handled pretty all right.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think so. Basically, the main theme of the book is like, what's the difference between the artificial intelligence of Star Wars and
Mm-hmm.
real people, and what's the
Mm-hmm.
cutoff point there between actual intelligence versus simulated stuff. But I feel like this book, like there are other places that I think handle that in a different way, and some places better. Like you get into a
Mm-hmm.
bit of it with Plagueis, with the droid there, and a lot of it with the MedStar duology, where it's about the actual. Uh, it's about the droids. Like they're kind of the ones that are put as the example. Whereas with
Mm-hmm.
Nikos in this, and with a bit of Callista, it's like, no, they're actually the ones that we're debating how alive they are, because the end, they're either human or they're like the droids. When
Mm-hmm.
normally Star Wars is, well,
Are
actually,
the
how human are the
droids?
droids?
Yeah.
Where with this, they're
And
taking it as
MedStar did
just
that
a,
well. You're right.
yeah. With this, they're basically accepting it as a premise that the droids are not intelligent. They're simulating stuff, but then you also get all this stuff about like, no, 3PO very much does not want to get destroyed. He doesn't want to be in dangerous situations. And maybe the way they communicate is a bit flatter. And you can kind of talk about that. How much is Nikos just simulating that? But like the actual
Mm-hmm.
hopes and dreams or whatever, they are there.
Yeah, to me, this book came down like a little too hard on just like the fuck droid side of things.
Yeah.
Like Luke insults Nico all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, for half a second there, Nico actually looked like a real man until I remembered he was a stupid droid.
Yeah.
But
and like there was something really interesting there of like,
yeah,
is Nikos the same Nikos as before? Is it just a simulated Nikos? But that simulated Nikos could be just as valid as a human. It's like at the end, it's like, no, I'm actually not Nikos, so I'm just gonna die now. And Kray's like, yeah, that's not actually Nikos, so he's just gonna die, and I'm gonna go with him because the real Nikos is dead. Callista, I'm not using this anymore. If you just want to get out of here,
here, have this flesh box.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like a Ship of Theseus issue that they kind of begin to touch on because oh, sorry, Murphy's going crazy. Because Luke gets his hand changed and they're wondering, okay, so because he looks at Nico and then he looks at his own hand and he's like, oh shit. But at the other part, it's kind of like inconsistent with how Nico's transformation is described. Because at the very beginning, they talk about how like they use Psy-Rook entechment technology as the basis for the transfer, which would kind of imply that it's like actually his spirit being brought into this new body. Whereas later on, it's like basically just says no, she programmed something to be exactly like him.
Yeah.
Or that's kind of, so it was a bit inconsistent, and that to me radically changes like, you know, the conversation, I guess. Also, I'm gonna mute my mic when I'm not talking because Murphy is just freaking out.
Well, it's a big change getting used to that new apartment because I saw you did the live tour of it last night where it was just you and Murph. So he's an Instagram star now.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Well, he is doing that. I guess I'll just give a basic premise for the book because we kind of just got right into it there. Basically, there is an attack on Han and Leia while they're on Ithor at some sort of ceremony, and the guy who attacks them is kind of acting super drugged out. They actually think that he was drugged out at the time, but he was trying to warn Han and Leia in the New Republic about this weapon, the Eye of Palpatine, which is another kind of like proto-Death Star super weapon. I don't think it can, like, it's not planet destruction, but it's a massive battle platform, and they're worried about Imperial warlords kind of unifying around this. And it's a plot that's kind of being put together by the Ismarans. Its unofficial title is the Ismaran plot, out of universe or in universe. But so Ragonda Ismaran and her son Eric are trying to unite some of these warlords from one of these southern sectors. So to find out who it is and what the children of the Jedi are, which is something that keeps coming up. Han and Leia head to Belsavis. Luke ends up on the Eye of Palpatine, and he ends up befriending and then dating another robot.
Oh yeah, sorry. One of my neighbors had the audacity to walk by my house. Can you believe that?
No, that's actually disgusting. Like, Murphy, good job.
Yeah.
But while you were gone, I just kind of explained the premise of the book, so we can go to our usual talking about topics. What's your favorite topping? Well, we're at
guacamole or avocado generally.
So does that change whether it's on pizza or ice cream?
I think avocado and ice cream could maybe work.
Well, yeah, there's avocado ice cream, but I think any kind of fruit or vegetable.
Avocado on pizza actually works as well.
Yeah. So
no, it doesn't change. One thing I want to talk about in this book is there were actually more kind of EU references than I remembered. Like Quijoux gets brought up a lot, presumably because of the proximity to the Jedi Academy trilogy, but I guess I was a little surprised by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like in reference to all of the super weapons getting made, and like how do you respond to the Imperials who were part of that, and if Leia could just kill them all, would she? Should she?
Is that the new movie trailer for Children of the Jedi?
In a world where Leia has access to all the people who invented super weapons for the Emperor, one woman, 10 super weapon designers, coming this summer.
I like too. They even mentioned like the Omelette station that was like that Quijoux was trained on. I do like how they gave her kind of like a they gave her a break because she was kind of forced into Imperial service, whereas kind of a nice distinction with the other ones who weren't. I
Yeah.
was kind of hoping, because there were some Dark Empire references, I was hoping that they would mention the guy, the Imperial engineer who was in Dark Empire. Was that Leth? You know what I'm talking about though?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Galaxy Gun. It is interesting though. You could tell this book was being written before.
Umakleth?
Yeah, Umak Leth. Yeah, you could tell this book was written before the Jedi Academy trilogy was finished, because there's 2 occasions where Luke is said to have blown up the.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he does not, it was Kip Duran who basically drives it through the Death Star and then into a black hole.
Yeah, and talking about how like Luke felt certain stuff, but he was asleep at the time.
Yeah.
But Luke gets knocked out a lot the farther
Luke
away
did
from
be
Endor.
snoozing quite a bit. Yeah.
I mean, Jedi Academy trilogy. You get it. He's
Oh yeah, true. He's sleeping for like 1.5 books there.
yeah. He does not stay conscious very much.
Yeah, I didn't even think of Jedi Academy, but you're right.
But the thing with like Leia there, like how do you deal with the super weapon designer? It kind of ties into the same topic of like how much free will or how much self-determination do the humans have, even because like there's a lot of places, and I can't remember any specific quotes where they're kind of talking about how Nikos isn't a person, fuck droids, but then they essentially make allusions to their own kind of programming. So I did think that was an interesting kind of through line for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just, by the end, I guess I didn't really feel like much was being said.
No,
with that.
I don't agree necessarily with how it got handled. It wasn't resolved at all, and to the extent that it was resolved, it comes to like the exact wrong conclusion. And
no, I agree.
Yeah.
This was one of those books where the Bantam era authors took the quite risky approach of actually talking about the Clone Wars. How did you feel like they did? I mean, I kind of felt like they got lucky and they kind of made a story, or Barbara made a story that could sort of work even within the timeline we've got established now.
It's not the worst in how it ends up tying in, but like the timeline is very wrong still, and like not even the specific years, but like how it lays out the difference between like Palpatine going after the Jedi, where it's very clearly still in the line of like end of the Clone Wars happened, organization of the Galactic Empire happened, and then the Jedi start getting hunted down, and it kind of keeps the same division between like there was the clone faction, the Republic, and the Empire all simultaneously, instead of the fact that it was all one that transferred into the Empire. And like obviously the Jedi group kind of gets retconned as a rogue Jedi group, because everything we hear about them does not jive well with the Jedi Order we get in the prequels. So like it's dealing with the Altesian Jedis.
Yeah, just like Corellian Jedi or whatever else. I looked up Callista on the old Wookiee, and there's a picture of her with Rex and Ahsoka, which I thought was really funny. Yeah,
because it gets because it's one of Karen Travis's Clone Wars books, I think, that gets because there's the Reader's Companion or something that talks about Callista and makes the basic retcon of it being a rogue Jedi group, and then there is the book that kind of deals with it directly and says like, no, this is Jyn Altus's thing, and the Chunthor was separate from what everyone else was doing. So that's how we get Callista as like sort of tied up in the Jedi Order, but maybe Anakin should have just joined them and he would have been fine. I think that's, if he'd just paid more attention in Jedi class about the other Jedi sects, he could have joined the Corellian Jedi, he could have joined the Altesian Jedi. Yeah.
It's like when you're like going to university for the first, or for like your first semester, and trying to figure out who all the good profs are. It's like, yeah, okay, this one will make you brownies once a week. This one will let you bang other people. Like, who do you want to go with? Well, this one's Obi-Wan. He's not epic at all.
Yeah, was Obi-Wan just unaware of these things, or was Obi-Wan intentionally trying to keep them from Anakin? Because this really recontextualizes everything that happened on Mustafar. Like if George wants to put out another special edition of that, you can just cut off the last 20 minutes of the film, get rid of the original trilogy, and just
Mm-hmm.
have Obi-Wan said, "You were my brother, Anakin. Also, there's this ship over there. You can just do all this shit." And then they just live
Big
happily ever
party.
after. Yeah,
Yeah.
it ends up being fine that way.
Yeah. Um, how about Han being hitting on or making crude remarks about a high-ranking Jedi and academic in front of his wife? He calls what's her name, the blonde with the legs.
Everyone is the whatever with the legs. There's a huge focus that gets put on the legs of all female characters.
Yes, and
Mara's legs take a front seat.
right. But we can also begin to establish Luke's hierarchy of women now because we know that he thinks Callista is more attractive than Mara.
Yeah, and this is something that
So
actually comes up halfway through the New Jedi Order in Traitor. Uh,
well, it does come up a bit when she comes back in. So should we talk about maybe what happens to some of these characters afterwards because you have a bit of a story?
yeah, go for it.
Callista, well, we'll deal with Callista next book, really, and then she kind of just goes
Yeah.
off. Although I don't think she's in book 3 a whole lot, but I could be mistaken. It's been a while. And then she comes back way later on in the Fate of the Jedi era. She's been on kind of like a spirit search to try to regain her connection to the Force, and of course, Abeloth takes her body, and Luke. I think it's right after Mara dies encounters her and it's like I want to smash, but I also like that's Abeloth in there.
Yeah, Luke is early. EU Luke is kind of simpy, and I think so. I actually do kind of want to get back to that throwaway joke that spawned so many other jokes, where we called Luke an incel in Truce of Bakura, and then that review was like, "Did you guys even notice the book was written by a woman?"
You mean we pointed out that Luke was an incel?
Yes. But I think what the people who have complained about that since, which have been several, have missed that just because the author is a woman doesn't mean she's endorsing the behavior of the characters in the book. Like,
or that
you were not
she's
supposed
not,
to, yeah, or that she doesn't have problematic ideas about it as well that are kind of reflecting what sells books in the 90s. But with Truce of Bakura, especially because of how things end between Luke and Gariel, it's like very clearly intended to be like, no, what Luke is doing here is not a great way to handle this. Like,
Luke's being a bit of a creep.
Yeah, and Luke just gets obsessed with these women immediately. It's not healthy. Don't handle your relationships like this, anyone.
No, and you're right. And then okay, can we clear something up?
Go for it.
Before we continue. Like, Luke definitely bangs the ghost in this, right? Because there's something there's like a very clear line where he says, like, I have it written down. Oh, aftermath of loving, which
Yes.
Okay, so can you imagine someone walks in on that and just sees like
famous Chuck Wendig novel, but
Luke thrusting in the air. Like, Luke, what are you doing? Callista's in here with me.
What did
Callista, cover yourself up.
What did the ceiling look like after?
Yeah, ceiling. Jesus, he's not that repressed. I don't think. Nothing. I had Palpatine some high ceilings as well, but yeah, okay. I just wanted to get that cleared out.
Yeah. Well, so did Luke.
And Luke is what, like, he's 30, 31 at this point because it's 12 Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Leia gets her age thrown around a lot in this actually. And
yeah, I noticed that.
It changes considerably between paragraphs.
Well, what can you do, really? Maybe she forget, like, that. To be honest, though, that's pretty realistic. Like, when you get older, like today, somebody asked me if I like my age just for something, and I had to think 27 or 28. Thank God, it's like
but
it's pretty simple.
They're 12 ABY, so they're about 31 or 32, and I think Leia's age gets stated as 26 at some point here, and it. But on the topic of Leia, We talked a bit before with like the Thrawn trilogy how Leia's just not a good mother, and Han and Leia are just terrible parents.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
So yeah, in the attack on Ithor, there's crazed gunmen or whatever they think it is, and there's a good 5 minutes before Leia's like, "Oh shit, the kids,
The children."
Like Han, I kind of understand more because he was getting attacked, and he comes over in the conversation the next time we see him. He's like, "How are the kids?" Whereas Leia is like not directly involved in any of it, and the kids were like, I think she was with Winter and the kids, right? And then she's like, "Oh, where are they?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, Winter took them to
just,
safety."
Was
Like,
the mother?
thank God Winter is around for these kids because no one else gives a fuck about them until they start winning wars for them.
Yeah. Yeah. True. I'll love Jaina when she can pilot a starfighter, not a minute before.
Yeah, like Jason, take this lightsaber and go fight the evil angry bird.
But
Like,
and then
yeah,
there's all
Jason turns into a Sith Lord. No fucking shocking.
Yeah, he's got absent parents. And then there's one part. What I thought you were going to say is there's one section where Leia talks about like how exhausting it's been raising two Jedi twins. I'm like, when did you do that?
Yeah.
Like, for real, when did you do that? Like,
Yeah.
how many months have you seen Anakin? Because at this point, he's spending most of his time with Winter on a goddamn asteroid.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not ready to hear that. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever woken up in the middle of the night to hang out with your kids?
No, they're like being a little disruptive at dinner in, is that Jedi Academy? One of the books where they're kind of toddlery.
Legacy of the
And
Force. that first dinner when Zek comes home with Jaina.
There's one thing where like it actually might be the Corellian trilogy where they're with them a bit more and they're being slightly disruptive during dinner, and Jaina is upset that she can't do something, and Jason is upset that he did some weird regular kid thing, and Leia's like, "Oh, kids are so hard." Like, no, this isn't what makes kids hard.
Like, he's like upset for 10 minutes. Like, it's hard being with them. Like, try that maybe.
Yeah. Oh fuck! Before we get too far from the Luke weird romantic tendencies topic, I don't know if I have it. But there's Luke clearly has a type because and it's not a good type because there was that conversation where they were like joking about I forget if Callista brings it up, but like they could have been related or something, and Luke starts going like too far with it, like yeah, wouldn't it be weird if you were my cousin? That would be weird, wouldn't it? And then Callista's like, okay, we're done with this. But it's like, come on, you already made out with your sister. We kind of know where
another part too where he's like, I haven't felt that love like this since Leia, and that was before I knew. And he's like, but I still do love her almost the same way. Like, Luke, shut up.
Yeah, so Luke is just not don't take romantic advice or copy Luke's romantic tendencies. I think that's just the bottom line here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of, I guess, kind of getting on the past topic there about a lot of Star Wars books of this era have a very similar kind of setup. For one, Leia's chief of state in name, but like is off gallivanting with Han and Luke and the kids and Chewie, usually not doing chief of state things.
Mm-hmm.
They start most books at some sort of diplomatic function that usually fails. And then Luke gets knocked out and simps for some unobtainable woman, whether he just can't fall in love with her or she's literally the ghost inside a computer.
Yeah. So if Luke got like a Amazon Alexa or something, I don't know where that goes. Is she in there? Is she in the computer? Let her out of the computer. Literally every time.
I love you, Alexa. She's like,
when Luke first sees the hologram of Leia, he doesn't even think she's a real person in there.
That's true.
Like, she's just acting. Let her out. Where'd she go?
Yeah, I mean, Luke fell in love pretty quickly there too.
Yeah. Bring her back. The message ended, you idiot.
That's it.
Yeah, every time we
gotta ask her out on a date.
Every time we end the call after one of these podcasts, like you stopped, I was like, "Where'd he go? Bring him back! Did you kill him?"
Where's the YouTube chat?
Yeah, no, that's Charlie. Wow, that means your Uncle Dro is related to my Aunt Cooley, which means we're long lost cousins. Wow, let's make out again. More this time.
Go a little further. But I will say this book also has the kind of case where it's a pretty small galaxy out there.
Yeah.
Because we meet a lot of children of the Jedi. Marin is the child of the Jedi. And then what's his name? Mr. Robot was a child of the Jedi.
Neglected to mention any of that.
Whose aunt is it that knows the children? Is that Leia's or?
I think it's Leia's aunt because she has like 3 aunts that come in on this. It's like the old families. And it's not even just referring to the old families of Alderaan. It's like the old families of everywhere that are respectable. But Leia does say she's never heard of Balsavis before, so slightly bigger galaxy. Whereas Han knows like every smuggler still,
that was
and every smuggler spot.
Not even just that; they know like intricate details about every single planet. They're like, "Oh yeah, Belsavis, that's where the mining corp set up the dome, and they only set it up about a dozen years ago. Also, that dome is made out of specifically these 3 materials."
Yeah,
and it's like, you know that one moon that's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, everyone knows about that as well.
Also, wow, look at all these species they've collected on the Eye of Palpatine. You have the Gamorreans, then you have the Tusken Raiders, you have Jawas. It's like it's a Tatooine reunion.
I do love what's it called? The big floofy ones though.
Oh, the tripods. I think they only ever
the other ones. What are they called again? Why
I don't remember
their name. Chat, what was the other species on there again? I can't remember.
Neither do I.
They're like the big tall ones because I was gonna.
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was a bit of a Tatooine reunion, which whatever. It's fine. Fine. Sorry, the dogs are going a little crazy. And is that coming through?
I heard one bark. That's it. It's fine.
Okay. But yeah, there's some Talls, I think it is, right? Were the Talls there?
Yeah, Tals are there. Tals are there.
And they're fluffy, right?
They're kind of fluffy.
Big... Yeah.
They're the abominable snowman.
Yeah, exactly. There's also some weird, like I noticed, because this is an older EU book. This is 95, I think, so still very, very old. There's like they did a lot of the lore because I mean all the fundamental stuff established in source books or Thrawn trilogy or whatever else, but like I do notice like a lot of small things just tweaked a little bit, like Duros or like Derosians is what they call them. Yeah.
See, I wasn't sure if it meant Duros or if it was meant to be like a different species there.
It might have been. I just assumed it was. I don't think any of them are described. Not positive.
Yeah, it looks like it's just meant to be Duros.
Yeah.
Because Derosian now just brings up the Derosian fighter from Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, yeah.
But they're like with the Jawas, Luke actually enlists the help of some of these groups when he's trying to rescue Krey on the Eye of Palpatine. And the Jawas kind of come through for him in a big way. They get a bunch of stuff for him. They're kind of his eyes and ears inside the Eye of Palpatine. And he gets them to do like dangerous recon missions and trade and stuff. And the one that he's got a connection with, he just calls Shorty, which is a real creative nickname.
Pretty rude.
But he comes
Doesn't
back.
Recognize any of them. Yeah,
and like they bring him a bunch of batteries and everything. And they're like, yeah, one of our guys just fucking exploded trying to do this. He's like, yeah, that's great. Give me more of those.
He's like, that does happen.
They sure can be dangerous. Go do it again.
Yeah, I mean, Luke was kind of laissez-faire about the Gamorrean lives as well.
He doesn't care about anyone except like anything that stands between him and banging Callista. All casualties are accepted.
He did kind of like the tripods, though.
They were fun, but I don't think if they died, I don't think he really would have shed a tear.
He was like, put the water out for them, please.
Tell them not to get hurt. But if they do get hurt,
the Gamorreans, he like throws them into combat and stuff. And like, I was a little surprised he even bothered getting them off, like the ship, to be honest.
Luke was bothering to get everyone off, so that's just the theme of the book.
Yeah.
I thought it was a real
Well,
slice of life for the Gamorreans, though.
I mean, we do learn a lot about. Well, I don't know. What did you think about the whole? Did you like the idea of the battle moon, the Eye of Palpatine, going around? Like, did you think it was an interesting premise for like it reconditioning all of the Gamorreans and whatever
Hmm.
else, thinking they were Imperial soldiers?
I mean, it just makes Piggy seem less impressive. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
they can be relatively intelligent, I guess, already,
Mm-hmm.
and some of it just felt like plot elements that were done better in other books that we've already read, where there
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of like Warlord of the Week in this period, and
Mm-hmm.
this is more just Warlords of the Week with one of the weirder super weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as it goes, it's fine, I guess, but it's not really my favorite treatment of that kind of plot, like either side of that plot.
Yeah. When's the Eye of Palpatine coming to Thrawn's Revenge? Because
Next
it,
week,
it it could be an interesting
story event, just his
yeah,
Marin plot story event.
just have it
Could
tied
happen.
to yeah, to no faction or something, and just have it appear, just start wrecking shit.
Yeah, no
Um,
comment.
yeah, that would be cool. I mean, it'd be pretty easy to model as well. Just an asteroid.
Yeah, and then we got Palpatine's nostrils for the Von
Mm-hmm.
War,
Mm-hmm.
Han's invention.
Um, it was kind of interesting too. They said it was the most powerful of the remaining battle moons. To me, that implies one, there may be other less powerful remaining battle moons, and two, that there may have been more powerful battle moons at some
Hmm.
point in the past.
They're basically just Killik ships, where it's asteroids
Yeah.
repurposed with like welded on weapons that they tunnel through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
A bit more powerful though. Like this thing is like not quite Death Star capability, but it
yeah,
could. I will say though,
it'll wreck
the
some
plan
stuff.
here doesn't make a lot of sense. He makes this so the idea is there's these children of Jedi literally hiding out in this kind of cavern on Belsavis, and Palpatine's idea is to build a giant space station which will go and wipe them out.
Yep.
Um, but like your ships do that pretty well.
Yeah, and so does your Darth Vader.
Yeah,
Like, we
like
know where they are. We'll just leave them, though, until
yeah,
we can explode them in a bit.
yeah, exactly. What did you think? I kind of liked Belsavis as a planet that was interesting because like the whole story kind of takes place almost. It's like a. I kind of pictured it as like a almost like on Utapau sort of, but like you know how
Hmm.
they have like those kind of canyons that everything kind of takes
Yeah.
place in. I kind of imagined it like that, but deeper, and like the inside of the kind of hole they're in or the crevice is very like lush and verdant,
Yeah.
whereas the rest of the planet is like just it's just cold wasteland.
Icy tundra. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
one of my, like, we added it to Thrawn's Revenge as well, and it's kind of an interesting map and
Mm-hmm.
environment situation because you got like the snow on the outside and you got the canyons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do like the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a pretty realistic, like mining ghost gold rush town that's kind
Yeah.
of seen better days, and now people are just ignoring everything that doesn't get them a bit more money.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of? Okay, I had thought that Mara was told about there being other hands in the Thrawn trilogy. Am I misremembering that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she already knew about them.
Mm-hmm. So she's just freaking out, like just
Yeah.
cause at this point, like, uh, is
Well,
Lando
I don't know.
not giving it to her that night, or like because he
Yeah,
had been
that.
earlier,
So this is where that famous scene comes from.
right? Where she's wearing, isn't she wearing a necklace too of Lando's and a shirt? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like a sweater or something. Like, no, it's an oversized shirt, and I don't know if it's a necklace. But later on, don't they just say, "Oh yeah, I was just undercover. We didn't actually do anything." Doesn't that get retconned
Yeah,
as that?
Zahn's not a big fan of that, so he
Yeah.
takes care of that in the Thrawn duology.
Hmm.
But I mean, I can see. I'd be pissed if because Mara's a much better character than Callista, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, and her and
Well,
Luke,
she usually is in Zahn stuff. She is, and then in like
yes,
Legacy of the Force, she is, and in like the later parts of NJO or even the earlier parts where she's kind of like teaching Jaina and Anakin a bit.
Almost
But
killing Ben.
yeah, but here she's okay. But the Corellian trilogy version of Mara is one of the weirdest Star Wars characters and weirdest divergences from established characters that we ever get. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting to that just for Mara, because she turns into a full-on
Reader's
pirate.
Digest version. I don't really remember.
She acts like a Sea of Thieves pirate. She's like walking on the bridge of her ship because she's in charge of Talon Card's organization, I think, at that point. And she's like, "Yar, shit!" Like she stops just short of doing that, and it's atrocious. It's
yeah,
can't wait.
That's a problem. Yeah, she was fine. I mean, she doesn't do a whole lot in this, but the thing about Mara and Luke is and this is the same problem Luke has with Callista, is like the relationship between Luke and Mara feels earned.
Yeah,
and like you see their like relationship slowly develop over 3 books, whereas this, it's like I can't even pinpoint the time where Luke. Same with Gariel. Can't really pinpoint the time where Luke starts to feel love for Callista. He just kind of always does.
yeah. Like she says hi, and then it's it.
Well, he picks up her lightsaber and he's like, "I could tell this was made by a female, and a cute one."
I can picture her now.
Yeah. That was interesting, but I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. We'll see how it goes next time. She's coming to Yavin with him. It's gonna be a fun time. Maybe they'll get in some more hijinks. Maybe she'll help blow up a super star destroyer.
Yeah.
See.
Were there any other notes I had about that stuff?
Let me check mine as well.
So I feel like we've kind of talked about all the important stuff.
What was the name of the stormtrooper again?
Tuft Puffman or something.
Yeah, I liked him, but he was very open about like the Imperial plan that he was waiting for.
Yeah,
he's like waiting on the plane, and he's like, "Any day now, I'm waiting for this secret super dreadnought to come pick me up."
Oh, look, some rebels. We're friends now. Look what I did.
Yeah. He's just like, maybe don't say that.
Yeah. It sounded much more, thought Leia uneasily, as if Organa intent had been to raise up not another Palpatine, but another Darth Vader. So Palpatine's actual power at this point has not really been established, that he's also super epic himself.
Yes.
And possibly more epic than Darth Vader was able to ever actually achieve. Well, except for like peak Revenge of the Sith, but after he becomes Darth Vader, he's kind of not as epic as he was going to be. How many of those concubines are we?
In canon, he hasn't really lost his power, so it's kind of a divergence. But when we get into the Thrawn trilogy, the Dark Lord trilogy, we'll see that like, yeah, he's always complaining about, "Oh, I don't have arms anymore. I can't feel the Force there."
Yeah, like he's not shit. He's just not like. I think Palpatine is still better than him. I don't think he ever really passes Palpatine.
No, I agree.
Which
with that.
like that's not an insult to anyone. Palpatine is pretty epic.
Maybe even the most.
He's definitely the most epic we get, other than like latter day Luke. Maybe Anakin when he's Anakin or Jason when they're glowing.
I don't feel like Anakin gets quite there.
Yeah, he would have, but
Anakin would have for sure, because he was supposed to be the best out of all 3 of them.
Yeah, you do get to a point where like Luke is like super epic, Jason's just under super epic, and Jaina is not quite as epic with the Force, but more epic than with lightsabers than either of them and piloting. So it's like a trifecta of epicness.
And Jason surpasses Luke in some ways too. Like
well, Luke is kind of the balance of like lightsaber epicness and Force epicness. Jason kind of gets past him in like Force epicness, and Jaina gets past.
He's got like his war meditation and stuff.
Yeah,
like even doper than battle meditation, and he knows all these crazy Force abilities that Luke's trying to learn when he's like 60. But yeah, that'll be fun when we get to Swarm War to talk about that. Speaking of esoteric Force powers, what did you think of young Eric Ismarin here?
With the ability to force use droids, like that That's basically the same thing as like, well, life. What's life? What's a droid? If you change their neuron or their connections, then he just can't do it anymore if they're not by the schematic. That's just you move some
Yeah,
parts.
it was kind of weird how he was able to do it too. He gets like a chip in it or like a converter in his brain.
Yeah, that's.
Uh,
I didn't like
yeah.
that very much.
No, it was a little silly. But you want to talk about epic? Wait till we get to his return in New Jedi Order, and he becomes a Jedi Spartan.
Hmm. Is that a
That is pretty
thing?
cool.
Does he
You
actually
don't
come back
remember?
in ear? No. I thought
Yeah,
he just
he's
dies and no one cares about him.
no, he turns into what's his name? Niathal or Nyack, sorry, Lord
Oh,
Nyack.
right, Lord
Niathal.
Nyack. I forgot that was the same.
Yeah,
God,
because
these
he gets like
fucking the picture of him during the Ismarin plot. This is terrible. Okay, hold on. And he's supposed to be like what, 16 here?
I
All
think
right,
14, isn't he?
he's young, but
Yeah.
I'm putting this up because this is just.
She's the one where he's got the little curl in front of his face.
It's the yeah. Okay, so for those listening on audio right now, I can't do anything for you, but for the people watching live, you're about to get a treat because this is just next level. All right, that's now X picture.
Can you leave it up, please?
Artist rendition of Eckhart's Ladder.
But yeah, then he gets
I
kind
can't
of
move that.
dumb, and he gets like a super suit, and he terrorizes Coruscant.
Yeah,
I'm getting an image of Mr. Lord Nyack's commissioned for me, so I can do a video on him.
that's pretty epic.
Yeah,
There we go.
and I think he kills his mom, but I can't remember. It's been a while. I remember in that book though, because that's after Coruscant's fallen to the Vong,
Hmm.
and Luke and a few other Jedi like insert in like orbital drop pods, and it's kind of cool. I think it's enemy lines maybe, but yeah, they basically like ODST their way into the city, um, and then the whole city's just like, or the whole planet's just like in shit. That's really fun.
God, this is just awful.
Yeah,
I can't
dude.
stop looking at it.
If I looked like that, I would never not have face cam on.
Hmm. But yeah, Eric is able to make R2 almost kill Han and like blow everyone up, so he can. Uh, he
Until they throw water on him.
yeah. Then he's kind of out of luck, but he seems like he's pretty powerful.
Yeah. No, he is.
And I don't. I'm trying to think of what character he's like the
He's
spoiled
like
kid
Chopper, kind
thing,
of.
but
He's kind of Chopper-esque.
the droid from Rebels.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chopper's good as well, but like in his pure destructive like capabilities, he reminded me of Chopper in that scene.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not the comparison I was gonna make for like the spoiled kid with weird powers, but you know.
Oh, I thought you were still talking about R2.
Oh no, I'm talking about Eric still.
Oh, he's kind of like a bit of a like maybe like a little Draco Malfoy or something.
Yeah, either that or this is gonna be a deep cut, but the the episode of Pokemon where Ash is getting the what's the ghost badge, whatever it is, from
Mm-hmm.
Sabrina, where it's the
Mm-hmm.
little sister that's like got evil powers and telling the ghost what to do and turns them all into
Mm-hmm.
dolls. Then they have to rescue Sabrina. I think they rescue
Mm-hmm.
Sabrina because it's a little sister that's just sad because there's no one to play with.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gave me those vibes where they're like
That's
running
not a
through the
bad
mansion.
comparison, actually. Yeah, that's
But
not.
yeah, so maybe if they just got a ghost Pokemon to play with Eric, he wouldn't have ended up this way.
That's not a bad comparison.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's a hint in this book that he's probably not, but there's also the potential that he's little Palpatine progeny here.
Yeah, well, apparently Palpatine was laying pipe left and right, I think is the.
Yeah, I think that's what Leia says specifically about the first time she met him.
Yeah. where he just has concubines for days, and it's implied that it's like not just people he has sex with, but like if you're a guest at a Palpa party, you too will have sex with these concubines, and uh, it yeah. So maybe there's a bunch of little Jedi Prince Kens out there.
I mean, I think we'll have to cover that sometime and discuss it in particular.
Are we doing Jedi Prince and Trioculus and everything?
Are they Star Wars books?
Well, I mean, like next week. Are we jumping straight to that?
I would not.
We're obviously
not down
going.
with that.
You would not be not down with that. Okay. Well, we got to do Darksaber and Crystal Star, right? So
What are there? Are there 7 Jedi Prince books?
I think there's 6. Or maybe it is 7. I think they're pretty short though.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Yeah, they're like 112 pages, so maybe we could do like 2 at a time or something.
Yeah.
3 Jedi Prince episodes, yes.
Maybe we'll save that for later. Because we got to get the Callista trilogy done. Then I think when we're back from your break, that'll be coming up. We're doing the Dark Lord trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for that. That'll be good.
Yeah. I don't know if we can do Crystal Star and then Jedi Prince. That could be a bit too much.
Yeah, we need some quality in there.
Because I think we need to like throw in Starfighters Adamar sooner than later as well.
Yeah, I want to do Shadows. I want to have like a 3-episode Shadows of the Empire arc as well. I want to do the book, and then I want to do the video game, and then maybe
The fan movie with the toys. You ever seen that before? I think it was done in Spanish, and then
Mm-hmm.
So are we just going to do
Shadows of the Empire
1?
toys are also in episode 1?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. A 3-episode arc at some point.
Yeah. But I guess we have the topic of like Callista gets to take first. Callista doesn't want to be like Mar Nikos.
Mm-hmm.
Does it actually say Mar anywhere in the book, or is it always just Nikos?
It says Mar once because I remember thinking. I remember thinking Nikos Mar kind of reminds me of Jaden Core. Because like the double R constant, double R's, and yeah.
But so at first Luke is telling Cray
we get Exorkun dropped a couple times, and I listened to the audiobook, same guy, so I get to hear it.
Oh, they did it the same way? Mm-hmm. He stuck with it. I appreciate that. I respect that. So Luke is telling Cray, can you make Callista a body like Nikos is, even though like Luke has already decided that at this point Nikos is not Nikos. So he's like 100% set on this, and Callista's like, no, actually that wouldn't be epic. And ultimately they come to the decision that Cray will sacrifice herself rather than staying alive because Nikos is dead. And I guess she has literally nothing else to live for.
Yeah, and Luke's cool with it.
Yeah, I'd have some ethical qualms, but like Luke isn't just cool with it. He's not sad at all that Cray is dead. It's not even like he was happy to be with Callista, but there was a brief moment of sadness that passed. Like, nope. He's just like, hey, look, Leia, it's Callista, my imaginary cousin.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, people probably thinking like, wow, they got close during this trip.
Yeah. Well, her eyes are different color.
I was thinking, what if she opened her eyes, instead of being gray, they were red and blue?
Yeah. Well,
what would you have done, Corey?
What would that be referencing, though?
I'd say her competing fury, her hot fury and her cold fury, both of which often.
Oh shit! You know who it would have been cool if they did that with, though? Like the side character. I don't know if you remember her from the X-Wing books, but Yasan Isard, I think her name was. Yeah. I feel like she was kind of missing some sort of character trait like that to show some sort of duality, and like it's just a shame. It was a missed opportunity for those books that it never came up.
Well, when the big EU redo comes, we'll make sure they get that in there.
But like, yeah, if she gets added back in like Rebels 2 as like the new Thrawn, we should send Dave Filoni a message being like, hey, wouldn't it be great if she had a red eye and a blue eye?
I mean, she was kind of in Rebels too, as in Rebels as what's her name?
Governor Price.
Yeah, I thought Price was kind of similar to her.
I can see that, I guess.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Price is a little less crazy, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because there's so few women Imperials, I'm making the connection. Although more now.
Yeah. Do you got any more notes or anything you want to talk about from our good friends, the Children of the Jedi?
Do we know any Children of the Jedi besides the 2 in the book?
They're fictional characters, Justin. So no.
Oh, okay. I do like their I like their toys they have.
Like, yeah, the Force toys.
Yeah.
That was interesting. That would.
You want to talk about you want to talk about Leia having an out of body moment?
Was this
for a little Force walk during the party? She's knocked out and she goes for a Force walk.
I don't remember that.
Really? Remember when there's like the big party there and she's knocked out on the bed and she goes for a Force walk?
Nope.
Actually.
Okay,
well,
maybe I do.
Knocked out.
Oh yeah. This is where I got the Pokemon vibes from, actually, or the main part. So yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I just forgot that was out of body, but yeah.
Oh yeah, she like her soul almost gets caught by like Darth Vader and shit, and he's got this little toy up and he's like, don't stare into this or you'll be lost forever.
Wouldn't that be sad?
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was pretty fun. Huh. I don't know.
She's just taking after Luke in Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
Only like not forever. I think that's all my notes though.
Anything else I want to mention?
I think there was a reference to Neil Gaiman.
Oh really? What was that?
The planet name.
What was it?
A couple of high-ranking designers of artificial intelligence constructs and automated weapon systems were reassigned to places like Kessel and Nilgamon and Dathomir. Nelgaimon.
I didn't even catch that. That's funny. Yeah, I'd say that's probably a reference. Yeah. No, I missed that, but that's pretty clear now.
But how long has he been active? Well, I guess he was writing in the 90s.
Yeah.
For some reason, I always think he's more recent than he is, but he's been writing since like the 80s.
Yeah, I've got. Didn't he write like Discworld? I thought.
Yeah.
Those were from like a long time ago. So, well, not a long time ago, the 90s. But yeah, American Gods is.
Wait, did he do Discworld?
I thought so.
Was that Neil Gaiman? Isn't that like Terry Pratchett?
Discworld, Neil Gaiman.
I think that's Terry Pratchett. Yeah, it's Terry Pratchett. Discworld is Terry Pratchett. Neil Gaiman was American Gods.
It says he helped as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of,
yeah. But yeah, I think those are all my Children of the Jedi.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I've got to say as well. Well, I didn't enjoy the book any more than I thought I would.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Well, do you want to do the rankings now? And then we've got an email question from Joel to answer. So next week we'll be doing Dark. Are we doing Darksaber next week, or are we doing a week of something else?
How long is Darksaber? Because this is one thing. You're obviously a much faster reader than me, because this took me, you said this took you 3 hours. It took me much longer, like probably 5 or 6.
Well, I wasn't sure if you wanted to do them every week until the 8th, or if you want to still do the skip a week. Because next week we are going to have Squadrons comes out the day after the podcast.
Let's do let's do a shorter book or something else. Maybe we'll leave it I don't necessarily want to leave it unknown, but I don't think I can read a 416-page book for next week.
Yeah, we could do the what's the Barbara Hambly wrote a comic which has Callista in it. And it's like Schlumpy Adventure Time or something. Murder and Slush Time.
Okay.
So it's a short story written by. Okay, it's a short story. It's not a comic. Originally published in Star Wars Adventure Journal 14 by West End Games. So maybe we can do maybe 2 short stories, and we'll do Murder and Slush Time, and then we'll find something else that will leave a mystery that we'll just discuss after this.
Sure, that works for me. That sounds fun.
Like Crisis of Faith or something.
Okay.
And then we'll do Darksaber the week after that.
Okay.
And then sometime after that we'll do Crystal Star. But we do have an email and then the rankings, and then we got a Murder Star Wars Explained in Among Us.
Should we do the rankings first? I think that's what we usually do.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that way.
Or am I wrong? I could be wrong.
I don't remember. Ooh, the alternative is we could do a Young Jedi Knights book.
I think I like that idea better.
Let's do Young Jedi Knights books. We'll start off Young Jedi Knights, and we'll just do those as some of the alternating ones.
Okay.
Sometimes.
You mean, okay. I like Young Jedi Knights. Okay, so we'll do Young Jedi Knights book 1, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that Heirs of the Force? That was my favorite book as a kid. So
that is Quarrel.
Cool.
Everyone's favorite episode 4 character.
That is exciting. I like this idea.
Okay.
We get introduced as well to Tenel Ka in that book.
Yeah.
I don't think she gets her arm cut off in that one. Maybe.
No, because they don't get lightsabers yet.
Right.
There's a lot of Jason wanting a lightsaber.
We get Lobaka as well, I believe.
Yeah.
And besides that, don't know who else, but it'll be fun. I'm excited. We get lots of Jason and Jaina.
So naturally, you have made the spreadsheet version of the rankings.
I have not, but I'll try to do this next week. I swear. I'm sorry.
Okay, so do you want to do your ranking? I think we did S, A, B, C, D, F. We didn't do an E tier.
Yeah, this is going to be a D for me. Mm-hmm. It's not unreadable. There are some ideas that I like. Like, I like the idea of the battle moon. I think that hiding the Jedi is cool. The beginning of the book has a really interesting vibe where it's very kind of creepy. Mm-hmm. Also, we didn't talk about those zombies. I still don't really quite get what was going on there.
They're like force fucked or something by Eric.
Yeah, like Drum McCum. It wasn't good though. I mean, it just.
I thought you'd at least give it C because of Drum McCum.
That's what's moving it up to D. Yeah, it just wasn't good. It was bad. It's way too long. It's one of the longest books we've actually read so far. And next one is even longer. It's not good. Callista is a really weird thing. Luke basically banging his student for the next few months is kind of weird. And this book was clearly meant to be the basis for like Luke's character moving forward, but obviously Lucasfilm decided no, Mara's way better, and we get Callista not killed off, but essentially killed off in the next book.
Fridged.
So yeah, I'm gonna give this a D for me.
Yeah, I'm also giving it a D. I agree with basically all the points you made there. I thought it had a fun theme that was approached poorly, or like the conclusion at least was poor. And like there are parts of the book that I enjoyed, but a lot of it was kind of a slog. And
I will say Belsavis was really fun, and it was cool seeing Ithor. That's one thing we didn't mention.
Yeah.
As I said, this book opens like many Star Wars books of this era do with a diplomatic mission. This time it's to Ithor. We get to see the herd ships, which are like, because they don't go to the surface of Ithor. I don't think they really mention that in this book, do they? Like why they are in herd ships. But
no, I don't think they mention the like the planet warship kind of thing.
Like
but
sacred surface that they don't go to anymore.
Yeah, I don't think that gets mentioned.
Yeah. And that was cool. But so much of this is so weird, and I'm cool with weird, but it's weird in like a kind of lazy way sometimes. But it's an interesting book, and it's cool to see how they thought of things in the era, but it doesn't raise above a D for me.
Yeah, I'm also putting it in the D tier.
Okay. So now that we've given Children of the Jedi our D, let's go ahead and read the email. Do you have it open? Do you want me to get it
Yes, I
open?
got it open.
Okay.
So this email comes from regular correspondent Joel,
Mhm.
who says, "Hey Tapcaf, so this question doesn't pertain to the book per se, but it does deal with the era it's being told in and something I've always wanted to get your opinions on. My question is this. When is it fair to compare things that happen in Legends post-Andor era with canon and when is it not? Personally, I always feel weird when people do this. I can understand one take on the era or the other for personal reasons, which is all well and good, but I find it sometimes unfair to compare and contrast the two takes, Legends and canon, and say one was better than the other because no matter how you feel about the sequel trilogy and the post-Andor era and canon overall, it's not trying to be like the Legends post-Andor era, even though, ironically, yes, both eras have a solo child turning dark and Palpatine returning. But outside of the very basic concepts, they're still very different. Kylo Ren isn't Jason, nor is he trying to be, so why compare them and say one is better than the other, or vice versa, and not just judge on their own merits as characters? That's my question. Do you think there are moments when it is fair to compare and contrast Legends and canon with one another? And if so, when are those moments in your opinion? You want to go first?
That's a good question. I'm not super concerned about fairness though. Like for me, it's just like when I compare them, I just talk about which one I enjoy more. And like
Mm-hmm.
for me, fairness doesn't come too much into it because I try not to talk objectively about which one's better, in which case I think fairness maybe is important, but I think that's kind of a losing battle anyway. I just think the discussion of which one you enjoy more is the more important one.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, they are different. The EU had a lot more time and a lot more time in universe to work with, but that's also a strength of the EU as well. Like you can't necessarily say that that's an unfair advantage it had because that's just they choose an era to work. They chose an era to work in, and they made something that a lot of us enjoyed in it. But I'm not a movie hater either, so.
Yeah, like the only thing that I think would be unfair, as in kind of invalid, is when people try to make direct comparisons, as in like it's better because this specific thing happened or didn't happen. Because like again, it's not trying to just be a recreation. Um,
Mhm.
but I think that making the comparison of like the development over Legends to me is more interesting because we didn't know the end point, or I kind of did because I started with
Mhm.
the Vong War, but getting to the Vong War was a
Mhm.
thing. Whereas
Mhm.
in the sequel trilogy or in the new canon, the sequel trilogy kind of fills that slot in the Vong War. Or like it's in a
Mhm.
comparable time and it's kind of the comparable big next event. And instead of having those previously existing stories and then we have the thing that happens next, we kind of end up with uh, we get all these warlords of the week and whatever, but then some of the
Mhm.
characters that show up in that come together in the New Jedi Order era and or New Jedi Order books, which because they are 19 books can bring together more of that stuff. Whereas three movies, even if there were a lot more pieces of source material from that period, obviously in 9 total hours you can only bring in so much, but it's also
Mhm.
why some of the books don't interest me as much, even the ones that are better written, or like the ones that I think that I like, uh,
Mhm.
where like I really like Alphabet Squadron, but I also know what's going to happen in the war
Yeah,
between
exactly.
the New Republic, or between the Rebel Alliance or the New Republic and the Empire. So it runs in the same issue of that I kind of had, and I know you had with Timothy Zahn's Thrawn books, where we know
Mhm.
where that's going, so they're less interesting just as a result of that. And the hands of the writers feel a bit more tied than they did with, say, the X-wing books when they would have been first coming up, or the Thrawn trilogy. There was also a bit more willingness in, uh, or necessity in the old EU of kind of ignoring each other,
Mhm.
for everyone who wasn't Kevin J. Anderson, and especially for
Although you
Timothy
know
Zahn.
what, I agree with you, but there's been a lot more continuity between close books than I would expect, and we got
Mhm.
sorry whether, but you're right in that some of that is just really name dropping. But I mean, there's some, you know,
Well,
Mara's a
a book is a series of events as cataclysmic as Dark Empire would have been, having like the fact that we consider individual references to some of the characters to be like a huge connection,
Mhm.
kind of show. And like the fact that we know that Timothy Zahn, who is like one of the biggest representatives of the period and of Star Wars books under Bantam at the time, and then even under Del Rey, the fact that he didn't want to do anything with all this other stuff when his books are some of the highest profile does mean there's more disconnects there.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And then you get like swashbuckling Mara in Corellian Trilogy, which is fun.
Yeah. I guess I just mean, I kind of remember them being like, we get, it's Dark Empire is always gonna be Dark Empire. It's as low and a canon tier as it can get, really. But yeah, okay.
Because like Rise of Skywalker, or ultimately seeing the whole thing now, you could functionally just make it Dark Empire. It's 20 years in the future, and that's kind of the spot that sequel trilogy fills in new canon, less than NJO, but it also killed off like Luke and Han and Leia. So that wasn't even a point that we got to in Legends. So there's more potential after that for other stories to be told, but as it is, we kind of know what we're leading up to in any new canon book. And that's why I like The Mandalorian, because it was so disconnected from other stuff. It was still taking place in the Star Wars universe, and it did tie into some of the Imperial Warlord stuff, but we don't know what happens to Mando or the Mandalorian culture. And there's nothing in the sequel trilogy that's really going to limit too much of what happens there. Whereas when you have stuff like the Aftermath trilogy, where it's like, okay, we know Operation Cinder happens, and then maybe there's more fighting. We know Ray Sloan builds up a big fleet, but there's not the same, like, we kind of know that it's not going to be like the return of the Empire in the same way, or the New Republic isn't going to be fully victorious for this new enemy. But
no, you're 100% right. That's a good point. And someone in the chat is correct. Corey does just want to get to the Corellian trilogy because it's got the sexy Solonians that he has been lusting for after hours on the podcast almost every night.
Look, I told you that in confidence, and I don't like that.
All right, so I think that's all I've got to say with this. This book.
Yeah. So we've got this week. The two of us are actually going to be taking part in a tabletop series in anticipation of Squadrons coming out next Friday. So Captain Shaq is going to be GMing that for myself, Eck, our good friends Charlie, and Wasted Space. So if you guys want to check that out, all of us, I think. Oh, X2, Corey Loses, the XP Gamers, and Wasted Space. I think we're all streaming our perspectives of it. So if you're into Star Wars stories, that could be something you want to check out. Also, in 30 minutes from right now, we're going to be playing Among Us with me, Eck, Charlie, the Templin Institute, Star Wars Explained, some others. So that'll also be on X2.
Say, if you don't know who Wasted Space is, he's got an epic voice.
Yeah.
Like, truly. And I watched some of his videos. He makes good stuff as well.
Yeah. So 30 minutes from now, X2 and Corey Loses, Among Us.
Yep.
Saturday at 6 p.m. ET. Star Wars Rebel Squadron tabletop adventure. Next 3 weeks.
And then Squadrons comes out on the 2nd. That'll be big. And then we've got the tournament we're doing not this Saturday or the next Saturday, but the Saturday after that, the 10th of October. That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
So yeah, lots of fun stuff. Make sure to do your homework for next week. We're going to be reading Heirs to the Force, Heirs of the Force, Heirs of the Children of the Jedi, Young Jedi Children, Knights of the Force. Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say?
No, that's it from